We got 6 house objects that I only use after moving to America. This is going to be interesting to see what kind of objects people are using in America that we aren't using in the UK or in Europe. So yeah, let's jump straight into this one, man.
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to objects and stuff. Specifically, objects and stuff that you find around the house that I only encountered after moving to the United States.
I'm trying to think like what would the mailboxes? I don't know, let's see.
I gave you a tour of my first American house as well as an exclusive look at my dusty garage. And so if you want to join me on this journey of putting together this place and you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, do that now.
I love how much like space American houses have compared to UK houses.
We look at 6 housing objects that I only encountered after moving to the United States.
Surely not a door handle.
Locked again. 2 words, public toilets. And I know what you're thinking. Ooh, Lawrence, what have public toilets got to do with houses? And the answer is simple. Nothing. But they do very neatly lead me into my next point, so shut it. Because you've probably heard Brits like me moaning about the lack of privacy in American public toilets, because you've got that gap and everything. Well, when it comes to our respective houses, that dedication to privacy, or privacy, depending on how you say it, is reversed. What? How? Do British rooms have gaps in the door? No, I'm not talking about gaps. I'm talking about locks on the door. Furthermore, I'm not just talking about...
yeah. In the UK, we don't have locks on the doors. We actually don't. We just shut the door, and yeah, it's risky, man. When you're doing something you don't want your parents to see, and they just walk in without knocking. Yeah, it could be a little problem, but
not bathrooms, but several rooms in the house.
Bathrooms
in America,
have
many
locks.
rooms, and in particular bedrooms, will have a lock on the doorknob that looks a little bit like this. Growing up in Britain, I found these to be far less common, which is a shame because they just give you that peace of mind.
Yeah, I would love a lock.
Walk in on you while you're reading a book. And for lock completists, they might sometimes take the form of a button, but there might also be some sort of rotating lock mechanism that looks like this. So to recap, while Americans might not value public toilet privacy, the opposite is true.
I see what you're saying with public toilets, because don't Americans' public toilets, don't they like they have a massive gap at the bottom? Like you can pretty much see like your kneecaps. That's so weird.
Sometimes Britain and America
we don't have
seem like
mailboxes.
alternate versions of each other. And perhaps one of the finest examples of this can be found in the delivery of post. Except Americans don't call it post, they call it mail. And while us Brits like to distinguish between a mailbox on the street, in other words a post box, and a residential mailbox, aka a letterbox.
Yeah, in the UK, we literally just have a letterbox. So they come up to our door and they just post whatever they want to post. If it's a parcel too big to go through it, they just leave it outside on the front, and we get, or just hide it in the garden, and we get like a message or something. But in America, I see why they have mailbox, because they like their land is their land. They don't want anybody on their land. They're probably like if some random person comes on their land, they're probably gonna come out with a shotgun or something. And well, if you go on a farmland anyway, but I don't know.
In your door. Us Americans call this a mailbox and this a mailbox. It's all a bit confusing. Thankfully, in this video, I'm just talking about this. To Americans, this low-shaped contraption has just simply been a way of life.
I thought it was like at the front of the garden.
Perhaps some Americans don't even give them a second thought. But to people like me who grew up in a different country with different mailboxes, there's a certain charm to them. After all, the only time that we get to see these outside of living here is in the movies. Oh, look, here's Kiefer Sutherland playing mailbox baseball in Stand By Me. Here's Forrest Gump and the kid from The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, what if somebody just steals the letterbox, the mailbox? Like, you could just, like, pull it out the ground or something, right? Oh, my bad.
Gorgeous line of mailboxes while the kid is too busy looking at Bubba, Jenny, and Forrest's mum in the distance. Here's a mailbox playing a key role in a Keanu Reeves Sandra Bullock film that sadly isn't Speed, but a film you don't remember called The Lake House. And here's a pair of wayward vandals graffitiing a mailbox in Up. It's been a while since I've seen
amazing
that film,
movie.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. The point is, American movies have this uncanny knack of making things seem almost magic, even things as simple as this. And as somebody who, for the past 14 years, has only lived in rented American accommodation, I'd been used to picking up my mail from what was essentially a glorified high school locker. This represents my first proper American
in UK apartments,
and I feel like I've finally arrived.
Like my apartment block, we have like the locker kind of box of
I've told you
things.
about how during the summertime it's useful on American houses to have a bug shield. That way you can open your windows, or in this case your door, and in theory this makes it harder for bees and mosquitoes and all the other insects.
Oh my God,
to get
we
into your
need
house.
that.
Doesn't seem to work, but the theory's good. But one thing I haven't spoken about is winter time, because when the temperatures plummet to minus 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, there aren't really many bugs trying to get in anyway. Instead, you have to protect your door from the elements. And that's where the storm door comes in. Sorry, I don't have much room here. Can I switch places? The storm door, where you can see this light is reflecting onto, is a door that sort of sits outside of the main door, and it sort of serves two purposes. Firstly, it's another barrier for burglars to have to overcome. And secondly, when you've got frost and snow and rain, it sort of protects this door from getting ruined by those weather elements.
Oh wow,
and in addition
really good.
to storm doors, you also have storm windows, which sort of do the same thing for windows as this does for doors. And that's really it, because we don't have storms quite
In the UK, we actually need those bug things, because in the summer when it's really hot, I don't want to open my window and stuff, because like bugs will come in, and you know what I mean? No one likes bugs.
Here in the Midwest, storm doors and storm windows aren't really that common in Britain, hence why they made it onto this list.
Pretty cool.
Hello, what's this? A fan outside of my house?
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm jealous. It's getting really hot in the UK in the summer, right? And we do not have air conditioning in any single house, any single apartment, unless you got it installed yourself, right? And our houses and stuff are built for the cold. So in the summer when it's really hot, the heat comes in and it stays in, and we melt and die. That's why in the summer you see so many like British people moaning that it's too hot and they can't breathe. Like we are genuinely dying. I'm not gonna lie. It's horrible. I'm jealous of this. I really want to AC
House
unit.
might have to put in a restraining order. Seriously, I did have to do that 3 years ago, so keep your distance. In previous videos, you've heard me talk to death about how American homes have air conditioning and British homes just don't. And so I don't want to dwell too much on what happens with air conditioning inside the house, but rather outside. Because you see, for the first time since I moved to the United States, the air conditioning in my home is entirely central air. In other words, the aircon is built entirely into the house instead of me having to install window units, which is great. And because of that, we have this thing, which I haven't really learned the name of. Perhaps it's a generator of some kind. Anyway, what it does is it sits outside, the fans spin around, and it creates air connage.
That's
and the
so sick.
outsides of many houses will feature one of these throughout the United States. I have heard that it requires a little bit of maintenance and cleaning, so after this video goes out, I will be reading all about that with a hot bath. And so we go from fans outside my house to fans above my bed. Seriously, don't get any ideas, I am married. But in much of the United States, just as with air conditioning, ceiling fans are found in most houses. Now,
okay, so I've seen loads of houses in the UK that's got ceiling fans. I've even had houses myself, like been in houses myself where there's been ceiling fans. But I think it's like it's like was in fashion kind of like 15 years ago and has gone out of fashion. I don't really see them now.
Past 15 years,
America still has
a variety of rented American apartment complexes, I've always had ceiling fans that had a chain that you pulled to get the fan going. But now with the acquisition of my first American house, things work a little bit differently.
Okay.
It's doing it. That was a trick. I was actually using a remote control.
Oh, I thought you actually
though,
clicked.
Isn't it? Literally. I've just realised it's winter and this should not be on. Remember in my last video when I showed you around my garage and we found this spare gate hanging around in the rafters? Well, it turns out this isn't a spare gate, but a missing one. Since I announced that I'd become a United States citizen and bought my first American house, some of you sent me messages along the lines of, "Oh, well done, Lawrence, you are living the American dream." But last time I checked, the perfect picture of the American dream involved...
Listen, this is exactly what I was saying earlier about like American houses have their own space. Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, UK house, you have another house attached here. You have another house attached here. You have like you have your garden, your front and the back, but you haven't got the space like this. They got their fence around. You know what I mean? It's so cool. It's so cool.
Having a white picket fence. And I don't have any data to back this up. It's just all from observation. But it feels like, at least here in the Midwest,
really
that
cool.
There are far fewer white picket fences and a great deal more chain link. Some Americans that I've spoken to seem to be of the opinion that chain link fences are kind of ugly.
Yeah,
and
I don't like
sort
them.
of agree, but if I put together a large enough collection of these fence pieces, I might be able to construct my own Hell in a Cell in the back garden, so that'd be fun. Anyway, we don't really use this style of fence much around British gardens, and from memory, this is the first chain link fence that I've had since moving to the United States.
What, is that very common?
If you haven't had a chance to see the tour of my house, you can do that by clicking on this here.
That was actually a really good video. I enjoyed that. If you live in America, let me know what else you guys are using that you think that we don't use in the UK. If you guys want me to react to more American stuff, let me know in the comment section what kind of stuff you want me to react to. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.